All right, and we're back here on Couch Coach Live, another Wednesday night edition here under lights here on Couch Coach Live. We got some special guests in the building. We got our guy Jordan. What's going on, Jordan?
I'm good, man. Just I'm ready for. I know we're in football season, but since my team probably isn't going to make the playoffs, it's time for me to think about the Nuggets and the Avalanche. Because at least they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I got my NFC Beast brethren represent represent. I got SkrubZero. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Wish I could say the same for the Giants, but right now they the Giants. Sorry, football team and all. At least there's baseball because the Mets are trying to make a push for the playoffs, and the Yankees are close to clinching a playoff spot themselves. So there's that.
Yeah, and so it's like that. That's the thing about now is we entering week 3 of the NFL season. We're just 24 hours away from the start of week 3 of the NFL season, and like we said, we have so many stuff going on this week and just so far this season. So tonight we're going to talk about a few things. So we're going to talk about Bryce Young being benched. What is going to be the future for Bryce Young? Our takeaways from last week, and then also we're doing like we do an exercise like this. I think we've done this for the last few years where we have teams that are 0-2 and 2-0. So we have a situation here where we're going to talk about which 2-0 team that we think won't make the playoffs, which 0-2 team will make the playoffs. So we may have a Giants, we may have a Broncos discussion potentially tonight when it comes to those teams. Potentially, I'm not saying it may not be you guys, but anybody who's chiming in may want to bring them into the conversation, and then we'll round out with giving a game ball this week here on Couch Coach. So that's what we'll do. We're gonna keep that intro. We'll be right back here on Couch Coach Live. Yes, and we like that, and it is a perfect opportunity to talk about Big Kirko, a great win on Monday Night Football, and I guarantee he had a moment like that in that locker room in Philly, and cannot wait to join the fellas this weekend on NFC Beast and bring up my former quarterback and Kirk Cousins. So it's gonna be a great show this week. So without further ado. This week's Couch Coach Live is powered by SeatGeek. Head over to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code CouchCoach. Get yourself $14 off your first purchase by using the promo code CouchCoach. So, we talked about it in the tease of the show. And like we talked about, it's weird like how the NFL is by far the greatest league because they have storylines that write themselves. So, I think probably one of the major stories this week was the announcement of Bryce Young being benched. Obviously, the Panthers are 0-2. Dave Canales, their head coach, announced on Monday that Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, will be QB1 now for the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young obviously was the 2023 number 1 overall pick in the draft. In his career, he has 11 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. So, I'm gonna go with you first, Scrub. What was your thoughts on Bryce Young being benched, and just and what do you see the future of Bryce Young?
I think this is more of an issue with the Panthers as a whole, as far as their team building, because they haven't built their team. Like they've been trying, but they haven't been successful. The offensive line is still a mess. They don't really have the wide receivers like that. They tried to address that this offseason, but you're going to rely on a rookie to save a second-year quarterback. That's asking a whole lot. Dave Canales is also first-year head coach, so I think he's just trying to find a way to win games. For Bryce Young, it's unfortunate. Probably shouldn't have been forced in this situation, but to start right away, but he was. Now he's gonna be on the bench. You wonder how it affects his confidence. He says he's in high spirits right now, but that's all well and good until like a few weeks go by. So, and as for what it's going to look like, Andy Dalton, I'm surprised he's still in the league because I'm like, he like 2,000 years old. Last we saw of him, he's pretty cooked. So I don't know how much he could give you with this kind of team. Maybe like he knows more, obviously, but I still don't think this is gonna really make a big difference as far as wins and losses.
Yeah. Before we get to Jordan, definitely we got a shout out. So shout out to Sports Talk with Jose Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's my guy, Jose.
Scrub. Yes, sir. So all right. So Jordan, what's your thoughts on the benching of Bryce Young and the future of Bryce Young?
I do think it'll destroy his confidence because here's a young guy who, was thrown into wolves last year. But the thing is you look at it, it's not all his fault. I mean, he hasn't done the best, thrown for 245 yards and 3 interceptions. The thing is where's his help? The running game isn't getting going with only 74 yards per game. I understand that they're 0-2, and right now they're just trying to find, basically light a fire under the team. And Canales, as you said, is a first-year head coach. This is his saying, you know what, we're in panic mode right now. We want to be in the thick of the NFC South division because it's really not that great of a division with the Saints there, Tampa Bay leading the division. But I just didn't understand why do it now. You're wrecking his confidence for now. You're saying that the season is over after 2 weeks, and it's not. But for Bryce, he'll get a chance to learn from Andy Dalton, but his confidence has to be shaken.
Yeah, and I agree with you both, fellas. I just look at it from the standpoint of the timing of it. I think considering the fact it is week 2 of the NFL season, and I understand how Canales is saying, hey, we're just trying to salvage the season. To me, you've punted on the season. At this point, this lets me know, okay, maybe we need to kind of figure out who's going to be our quarterback in 2025. That's what my thing was. I can understand if this situation, if we were sitting here maybe 5 or 6 weeks later, maybe like that first week of November, late October, after maybe like week 8 or 9, and they're like 0-7, 0-8 or whatever, then okay, we gotta move on and try to salvage some wins. This, like you said, and it's gonna mess up his confidence. Kind of one of the things where this to me is a classic case. I know we always hear this in NFL terms, where you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. The damage is done. I think, in my personal opinion, and like you said, and I know you said this well too, Scrub, as far as Dave Canales is his first year, so he doesn't necessarily have to have that quote unquote loyalty as like a Frank Wright when he was there last year, or what have you. So I think the future for him, I'm curious what's going to happen in Miami, because I know we really didn't talk about the as far as the implication for Tua. I know he's on IR. He probably won't be back until late October. So that kind of coincides with the trade deadline in a sense. So I don't know if he's going to go to Miami, but I definitely think he's going to go somewhere. I can definitely see him going into the trade deadline and being traded somewhere. I think if you look at it today, it looks like maybe Miami, because they're the only one that really has a quarterback vacancy for the short period of time. But who knows? Injuries might arise in these next few weeks between now and the trade deadline, and it could be a potential for him. And I do agree with Jose. Yeah, this is on Tepper. Yeah, because he's Tepper. Yeah. That's what he wanted, and
I think this is, and I don't think this is necessarily an issue of they should have picked CJ. I think this is more of an issue you didn't build your team right, and you whichever quarterback you were going to pick was going to be, they were just set up for failure, and this is the result of that. That's why I'm not necessarily a proponent of getting the quarterback first. I'm more build the team, and then because you can always find like a backup quarterback or journeyman quarterback to hold things down until you can draft a guy. There's no need to be reaching for these guys.
Yeah.
Well, and you look at the trade that actually sent Bryce Young as the number 1 pick. They got rid of DJ Moore, which I'm still confused about. Why would you get rid of a playmaker? You need that playmaker for a young quarterback. Whether that would have been C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, whoever it would have been, it wouldn't have mattered. You need that playmaker.
Yeah, and like you said, right, because you see how the difference between him and CJ. CJ has a supporting cast. CJ has a great defense. CJ has good wide receivers. Even now, with the addition of Stephon Diggs, that makes last year he had like a Noah Brown. He still had Nico Collins, Tank Dell. You had a solid young core wide receivers versus here. You like we talked about it in the preview where you really didn't have many when we talked about playmakers because we looked at where you got Adam Thielen, who's at this point probably a slot at best, but you don't necessarily have that number one. I did like the kid from Ole Miss, Mingo, but he really hasn't became what I thought he was going to be initially, like as far as being that is essentially his go-to. But yeah, they have to have pieces around him, and I think that's been the biggest issue with this Panthers team. And and I forgot. I don't know if it was Shannon Sharp or one of the guys, one of the pundits, and he was saying he might have had better skilled players at Alabama than he do in Carolina, which I'm like, that's accurate.
It's really hard to disagree. I mean, he had playmakers, he had weapons. That's why Alabama did so well with him out when he was there.
Yeah, and it's the same with the Titans. And even with the Titans, I see them, they have put Will Levis in a better situation than in Carolina. At least there, you got a guy like a Pollard, even though you did lose a, Derrick Henry, but you still got a reliable guy that, 2 years ago he had like 5 yards a carry in 2022, and you still got that. You got D-Hop as well too. So you got some guys there, and then they're starting to kind of build their offensive line with because I know it's Brian Callahan is the coach. Well, Callahan and then the son Bill is the dad. Yeah, Bill is the dad. Then Brian is the son. So Brian the coach, and then build up the offensive line. So yeah, at least with them, you got some semblance. Like okay, I can see the plan, but with Carolina, it looked gray and murky because even when the previews, when everything's kind of optimistic, I'm still like, it's still some stuff that's that's missing on this team.
I didn't realize it was missing this much though, because that week one drubbing, been one thing if that was the final score, like the 30-0 is the final score. That was at half.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives you an idea of how bad it really is. And this past week they lose 26-3. It's going to be a long year in Carolina.
It could be a long few years in Carolina if they don't figure it out.
True.
Yeah. I didn't want to give them no hope. I want to just focus on this
year. It's like you said, it's going to be a while, and that's the kind of all this because and like we were saying, like as far as that just let me know they trying to do something in 2025, like who's gonna be their quarterback in 2025. So that's what it looks like to me. They've already put it on this year, but
cool. We agree, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're done. But so we'll talk about our next topic. So let's go into week 2 of the NFL season. So a lot of stuff happened this week. So I want to go around the horn, fellas. So what are your NFL week 2 takeaways? Your 2 takeaways from last week's action. I'm going to go with you first, Jordan. What you got?
Well, I'm going with Kansas City. They're still for real. I know you can blame the pass interference or whatever, but Patrick Mahomes did lead them on a drive to get in field goal range. And they showed that they are primed for a three-peat. It's really hard to say that anyone else is close to them, but I mean, if week 2 showed us anything, we know that Patrick Mahomes still has it, and they're still going to be in the thick of it to win the Super Bowl. My other takeaway, and we talked about pre-show, is just the Broncos need to be patient with Bo Nix. I know as a Broncos fan, we expect winning. It's not going to happen this year. And I said on this very show with the AFC with preview, the Broncos are going to be 4-13. Now they could be worse than that. But Bo Nix is still learning to play at the NFL level. There are going to be growing pains, and we've seen that with him throwing terrible interceptions in the end zone to Cortland Sutton, trying to use that arm. I don't think his stats are that bad. He's 20 of 35 passing to Steelers, but 2 bad interceptions. We're going to go through the growing pains. It's going to be the same story this whole year. We just got to be patient.
Another takeaway. Yeah, another takeaway, Jordan. Oh no, you did. You did your two. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. All right. Scrub, what you got?
First one. Vikings. They actually for real, dog. Now I don't trust their quarterback, but aside from that spot, listen. A lot of people is concerned like their defense is only going to be okay. If you actually watched them last year, defense got a lot better than what it was 2 years ago when they ended up losing playoff games to the Giants. Brian Flores is a viable coach. I won't get into all the things of where I think he should be, but because he should be a head coach. But I'll leave that for a different discussion. But he got this defense playing well in Minnesota. I don't even remember the head coach name. He kind of just like
Kevin O'Connell.
Okay, yeah. right. He kind of just exists, but they got the weapons. They're building this team up right. Even with Jefferson getting hurt, you still got Addison. They found another dude, Naylor. I'm like, who is this Naylor guy? He can play a bit. All right. They got running backs, and they got the 2 tackles. It's a bit weak in the interior, but it's not going to kill them as long as they just keep balance. Like I did have them I thought they could finish second in the division. That was initially with the rookie quarterback McCarthy before he got hurt. They can still end up finishing second, but I my only concern is the quarterback because Sam Darnold will ultimately turn back to Sam Darnold in the end, and I don't know if that will ultimately cost them a shot at the playoffs or not. And the other one. Maybe the NFC South won't be as bad as everyone says it's going to be, because Tampa got the team. As long as Baker don't do too much, you keep Baker from trying to be a superhero, you will be fine as far as Tampa because they got the defense, they got the weapons. That part isn't an issue. The Falcons, my concern with them is also the quarterback, because I know Kirk Cousins went down the field Monday night, but is that really more good Kirk Cousins, or we got concerns about the Eagles defense?
I think that's just
I think I got more concerns about the Eagles defense.
Well, and if you look at that game on Monday night, it really came down to why did they run the ball? Because then they would have taken an extra 40 seconds off the clock. Then they try to find Saquon Barkley. Sure, if he gets the first down, the game's over. But the Eagles, play calling is an issue, and I do agree with the defense is an issue too. Because how can you allow Kirk Cousins to do that?
Because even with all that, all you had to do was get a stop. They got to go and you virtually play prevent defense. And what's the old saying about prevent? When you play prevent, you prevent yourself from winning.
Oh, 100%. I agree with that.
And then the Saints, I didn't realize until my guy told me their offensive coordinator's on Clint Kubiak.
Mm-hmm.
I love Clint.
Yeah, exactly.
Cisco. He was with San Francisco. Yep, last year.
Yep. So he was working under Shanahan, and if you know anything about his daddy, oh damn, I didn't have his name.
Mike. Gary.
Gary Kubiak.
Gary Kubiak.
He was a good offensive coordinator himself. So, outside of Carolina, this NFC South might not be as bad as everyone thought it was going to be. That's what I get out of it. Now, if the Falcons get that rookies in the mix, oh boy,
oh no, Kurt
gonna be interested.
Kurt,
I think we hurt someone's feelings with mentioning Monday Night Football.
Hey.
Hey, cool. It could be worse. You could be my team who's still searching for a win and doesn't look good on both sides of the ball.
No, yeah, but like for cool, I know how he's thinking. This is more the same as last year, and if that's truly the case, what difference do it make? Like,
Right.
No, that's true.
Right. But yeah, so yeah, and it happens. Yeah, it's So I'm being quiet because obviously we're on the stage next Monday. So I'm not.
you ain't gonna fall into that trap.
I'm not gonna be bulletin board material at all. None of that. So. So my two takeaways from last week's action, the Saints come marching in. Obviously, the win over the Dallas Cowboys last week, and now they're averaging 45.5 points per game. That's number one in the league. Another great effort by Alvin Kamara. 3 touchdowns against Dallas last week, and then obviously David Carr had 2 touchdowns. And a win over the Dallas Cowboys. Now they're 2-0. Like you said, Scrub, where this NFC South, what we looked at in the preseason, we looked at maybe a 1-team race potentially between like Tampa Bay, maybe running with it, or Atlanta running with it. So it's kind of one of things for that is concerned. Whoever, and then my other one, and it's funny that we always talk about like as far as the the NFL, we just talked about Bryce Young and what's the future of Bryce Young. Once you leave Charlotte, your future might be bright because the last 2 quarterbacks of this 2022 lineup, when you had, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, they're both leading their teams to a 2-0 start. Baker Mayfield, another great performance, obviously, week 1. He torched the worst secondary in NFL history, the Washington Commanders. Then obviously going on the road, beating a team like the Detroit Lions and NFC Elite, obviously a team that made it to the conference championship last year. 12 for 19, 185 yards, 1 touchdown. And Sam Darnold, he's starting to look like that when he was playing for USC, when he was playing Penn State in that Rose Bowl. He's starting to kind of look a little looking good again. And, he's turning back the clock to 2017, potentially. 17 for 26, 268 yards last week, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception against San Francisco. And this was a team that San Francisco beat Detroit in the NFC Championship game. So, Bryce Young, the future's bright.
But, as far as the Vikings, this is the second time they did it last year. They beat San Fran. Remember that Monday night?
I do.
This is a matchup that San Fran has issues with.
And this was they had Trent in this game. Last year they had Trent. They had Trent or Debo. I know Debo got hurt.
Both of them, and they still ended the same way with a loss.
But still. But last year they had, because this is before Kurt got hurt, right? Because Kurt was still healthy.
Mm-hmm.
He was still playing. But now you're getting to Sam Darnold. Like, so, I mean, hey. But Sam Darnold, hey. That's what I'm saying. Bryce, just get yourself a one-way ticket out of Charlotte. This might happen to you. But yeah. But yeah, like you said, they have matchup problems with the Minnesota Vikings, but it is what it is. But yeah. and it's funny. I don't want this. It's funny, but it's truth in it, because I don't know if y'all seen the video of Bryce Young. I think he was going to practice. I think either was yesterday. Well, what's the day? So it was today. Where he signed an autograph and he looked really sad. And then the guy who wanted him to sign an autograph said, "Hey, keep your head up." I'm like, damn. Yeah, it's that bad. Yep. And it's true. I mean, he looked, even in that clip, he looked defeated, man. His confidence is shot. I've never heard, like we talked, and going back to the opening topic. I mean, since when have we seen a number one overall pick getting benched after the second game of his second year? Like, no one.
I was gonna say I
Like,
can't even think of one.
Not first overall. I mean, we've had first round picks before, but not like a number one overall pick that got, like you said, and to George's point, essentially got traded for essentially DJ Moore, and now you think Caleb Williams as well, because Caleb Williams is in that package as well. So, it's really interesting to say the least, for sure. Yep. Nah,
what does it say about them, Jose?
Nothing to say, right? And I promise him, we won't go on like it won't gonna be like a roast session, because it was like.
Let me put you like this: if it is, I'll be the one roasting him. So let's move on.
Yeah. So they should have just said him last year and started him this year. Carolina stayed dumb, no weapons either. I still believe the brother has a great future. Yeah, and I agree. Like, we talked about it too. I think he does have a good future, but I think it's going to be outside of Charlotte for sure. I think the damage is done. Like I said, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube at this point. I don't think, barring an injury, I don't know. I don't think he sees the field.
No.
Maybe he does because the situation is just that bad and Dalton struggles. But they just got too many problems right now that they need to figure out before we get to that point.
True, and yeah, but the thing is, like, then they're gonna give up on him like that, right? And that's why I like it's the perfect situation for him to just. But Carolina cut their losses because it's too early to pull the plug on this.
Well, especially in the second week of the season too,
right.
And like we've talked about.
Right, you're right. You can't undo this. This is like something that you just can't say. Oh well, yeah, we're gonna bring it back in November. For what? You're already gonna be maybe like 2-10, 2-8.
If you're lucky, even get to 2 wins. Like at that point. What have you done? What are we building here?
Right.
What is the end game, Carolina? This is the real question we need to ask. And it all falls on the owner because I've heard it many times. A fish rots from the head down. Well, Ed.
Yep. Facts. Straight up. Right. So all right. So all right. So we talked about in the beginning what we talked about as far as what teams. So we'll start off now with which 2-0 team will miss the playoffs, and we'll talk about the teams that we have. So currently, who are undefeated in NFL: Buffalo Bills, the Los Angeles, aka San Diego Superchargers, the Houston Texans, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Kansas City Chiefs, New Orleans Saints, Minnesota Vikings, Seattle Seahawks, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, which of these 2-0 teams will miss the playoffs? I'm going to go with you first, Scrub. What you got?
The San Diego Wall Chargers.
Superchargers.
They are. Listen, they will forever be known as San Diego. And what happens when you take a Charger off the wall? It dies. That is why they listen. I'll say this: John Harbaugh got him playing because John Harbaugh is a good coach. He knows how to get the most out of his teams. I like their quarterback, but just something about the Chargers. Now he can prove me wrong. I have no problem saying I was wrong. But just something about the Chargers, I don't trust them. And until they actually do something to prove otherwise, like, because I'm looking at the other 2-0 teams, I'm like, damn, I don't see who else is gonna miss. Maybe Minnesota because of the quarterback situation. and that would be like the only other one I'd say, but that would be more so because of the quarterback, not because of the overall team.
That's fair.
I still think the Chargers do have some deficiencies. Right now, it's getting masked up, but they got. I don't trust the defense necessarily, and they go. What happens if you can stop that run? I know Herbert's a good quarterback, but the weapons ain't really got much of any on the outside.
I understand. All right. Jordan, who's your 2-0 team that will miss the playoffs?
I'm going with Seattle. I just don't know how good this team is, especially in that division. Because I think the Niners are still going to, take that division. But they look at who they played. They played the Broncos, rookie quarterback, and Broncos had a chance to win, but they got a first down with Geno Smith throwing the ball to a wide open receiver. And they played New England. You still have to play the Niners twice, the Bills, the Lions, the New York Jets, who I think are still going to be one of those teams that are going to be in the mix for a playoff spot. Let's just name a few. I just think once you play real teams, how good are you? They need to prove me wrong that they can actually play with, the Niners, the Bills, and the Lions. Once that happens, maybe they'll have a chance to change my mind, but I still think it's a fluke that they're 2-0.
I don't. I mean, yeah, you like Patriots aren't the strongest team, but I do think they have an idea of what they want to do. They have an identity. If the only issue is they have to play a very specific way to win.
That's fair.
But it's not like everyone's thinking like the Patriots just gonna fall off, like they're gonna be this terrible team. I don't think so. That doesn't mean they're gonna make the playoffs, but I think they'll be better than a lot of people thought they would end up, because they do have an identity. They know where they want to go. But the Seahawks, like, listen, we think the Niners are a good team, but what's been really the one thing that's been holding them back? The head coach.
Oh, that's true. As much as I do like Shanahan, you're right.
Like, he's the one that's holding them back. The Bills, they're doing good right now, but Josh Allen 2 turnovers away from looking like the old Josh Allen, and I don't trust McDermott either. Sean McDermott.
Well, that's true, but if you look at last week I do agree with that with Josh Allen, but they're running the ball efficiently.
They're running the ball efficiently right now. How long are they going to stick with that?
That's true, because you're going to get into these games against, division opponents. Plus, they got to play. I think they play Kansas City this year. You're right. How efficiently can they keep running the ball before they have to trust Josh Allen's arm? That's true.
And Josh Allen does have a tendency to try to do hero ball when things ain't going well, and
that's true.
When that starts happening. Not, like I said, you I understand your concerns with Seattle, but I think they're in a better spot. Like, if this was maybe last year's team, I'd be like, I think but in fairness, they do still need to show it. I think they'll be fine. They got off to a good start. They're winning games that are there for them to win.
Yeah, because I agree with you, Jordan, as far as Seattle. And I thought about like Buffalo, because I did put Buffalo outside the playoffs, but now with everything that's going on with Miami, with essentially Tua being out for pretty much half of the season at this point, I mean, think if we won't be back until late October, and at the earliest. Like you said, like Seattle really hasn't proved it at this point. Like you said, their 2 wins, obviously, against those 2 opponents. The Chargers, I'm really curious how they, on the second wing of this East Coast trip, obviously now going to Pittsburgh this week, who I think is definitely a team that could potentially be on their level, and see how that kind of plays out with that. Like I said, the Vikings is somewhat of a question mark because, like you said, the inconsistent play of Sam Darnold potentially. But I still think with him, in a weird way, I think he's going to play with house money this year, because obviously he doesn't have to worry about the J.J. McCarthy cloud. So, like, if I think to be a player, he's been playing a lot loose than he would, versus that. And then I think those are kind of the only ones I definitely think at this point, because I think with the Saints, good offense, but then also a good defense as well. So it's kind of one of those where I think that could potentially last there. So I definitely think the team that probably won't make it out of this group is probably the Seattle Seahawks, because you got like San Francisco 49ers, even though they're banged up. Obviously, I think Debo's out, and then they're quote unquote the guy that's almost like a Debo and Ricky Pearsall, he's out. So it's like they're going to be really thin at that position going forward. So,
the one thing I will say as far as that division, don't sleep on Arizona.
That's what I was going to say. Yep, I was going to say, yeah, because now you got that, you now I think you got that chemistry between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray starting to kind of, starting to heat up, because they blew the Rams out in a crazy fashion, like I said. So you got that, and I still think the Rams, they're another team where they have injuries as well too, with Cooper Kupp and also Puka Nacua. So yeah, I like you said, the West is going to be a really interesting, because who's going to contain Marvin Harrison Jr. at this point?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's starting to become unleashed. I think he's starting to go really show, hey, it's going to be like backyard ball. They go just pitch it up and throw it to him.
It's going to be interesting.
Extremely. All right, so fellas, we got to reverse it. Let's see. So we got which 0-2 team will make the playoffs. So we'll start there. So I'm going to go with you first, Grub. What you got?
The Ravens. I still think they'll end up winning the division and make the playoffs. This is a very inauspicious start, of course. With Lamar Jackson being the starter, I don't think they've gotten off to an 0-2 start prior years. Yeah. Listen, Lamar is going to end up carrying this team because that's what he always ends up having to do. Because for whatever reason, John Harbaugh, the Ravens don't want to invest in weaponry. They don't want to invest in wide receivers. They don't want to invest, and then they don't want to utilize the weapons they have either. Because you got Derrick Henry, you're not using him. I like Zay Flowers, but if your best receiver is a 5'9" guy and his name is not Tyreek Hill, you have a problem. I like Isaiah Likely, but he's a good tight end, but I don't necessarily want him to be my number one either. But I can't trust the Bengals. I can't trust them because they two are 0-2, but I mean, one, they always got a slow start, and two, they're missing they're missing T. Higgins. Jamar Chase don't look right.
Exactly.
And when they can go head against the Ravens, with Lamar usually has an advantage over them. Like, he finds a way to win them games. Now, I will say the Ravens defense, everyone says how great it is. They're a concern too. Because they've given up the most leads in the fourth quarter since 2015. Like, everyone's talking about how great they are, but they keep blowing these leads. Complimentary football, listen, sometimes your offense gets it done, sometimes it doesn't. But if you're this great defense, you should be getting it done more times than you losing it. And a lot of games we can look at defense like, why didn't you get this out?
But true.
I mean, I can't. But compared to some of the 0-2 teams, I can't trust the Giants.
Mm-mm.
I can't trust the Panthers or the Broncos. Like, come on, look at these 0-2 teams. What am I supposed to do with this? The Jags?
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence.
The Titans with a guy who put mayonnaise in his coffee. The Colts, I think they could, but that's like a wild card spot, and depending on what happens with these other divisions, they might still find themselves out. Yeah. Because I think it's the Texans win that division, but there's two, like, I can't trust these, and the Rams I would have, but there's also the like, and I know this is a little out there, but remember, Bradford's wife said she was crushing on the back of QB. Now, I don't know a lot about a lot of stuff, but to hear your wife crush on the back of QB, I'm gonna mess with you.
Yeah.
So that really only leaves like the Ravens and the Colts, and I can't trust the Bengals. I just can't. I'm sorry.
I feel you. Yeah, this list of 0-2 teams is rather exquisite, to say the least. All right, Shorty, what you got?
I can't argue. I have the Ravens because of the fact that they have Lamar Jackson. I know the offense has struggled, but once it finds its rhythm, it happens. It hasn't happened yet, but it will. And I also agree that they're going to be on top of the AFC North division. That's who I have winning the division. I can't trust the Bengals because you have a team that is in flux. Like with who is he going to throw the football to? There's nobody there for the Bengals. Not many playmakers. So, yeah, the Colts, yeah, maybe, but they're going to go for a wild card spot. The Jaguars, okay, they have Trevor Lawrence. That's it. The Broncos, I can't trust my team. So, yeah, by default, I do have to say the Ravens because they are the best team that's 0-2.
And the Jose, you're like you say, you trust the Bengals more than the Steelers. I don't. I think the Steelers found the right quarterback to run what they want to do. Now, I do have a big concern is CJ Watt or bust, but as long as TJ Watt doing his thing, sorry, I can't see it though.
That's fair. Trust the Bengals more than Steelers. I mean, you look at their offense. The Steelers haven't really scored many points. It's all been their defense.
What up, boy? True. Glad you made it.
Yeah, and they're another one, like you said, we kind of talked about the 2-0 teams. Yeah, because we still think they're still a playoff caliber team because this is what Pittsburgh do all the time. This is kind of when I think about, even Big Ben's first couple of years and even somewhat towards the twilight of his career in Pittsburgh, you kind of start seeing where like defense that calling card and they get by these, these unsexy wins. And this is what's going on now where you look at, especially in these last two games where you had Boswell kicked 6 field goals and to beat Atlanta. And then, I think they finally had an offensive touchdown last week against Denver. So same thing will happen with this Steelers team. So I definitely think that. But like I said, but to go back, so but I think it will be the Ravens. And I know y'all talking about as far as like the offense wise, but they're still number one in yards per game so far. I think they're averaging 428 yards per game, and obviously, I definitely think what's a good remedy to a team that's losing like this, and they you play the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, so it's kind of one of those where it's a perfect storm for Baltimore to get there, to get back on track potentially because obviously we see how Dallas looked last week against the Saints. But yeah, I definitely think it will be the Ravens just because, like you said, almost kind of like default of the division as well. You look at like Pittsburgh is there at 2-0. Like you said, the Cincinnati thing is kind of troublesome. Obviously, I think even when they lost to the Patriots, we in week 1, the discourse with Jamar Chase when they asked him about how, as far as him being ineffective in the offense, and he said, you know what, ask Zach. Talk about Zach Taylor, the head coach. So it's kind of like that seems like a rift there. And then this whole having a $50 million insurance policy, the Bengals selling televisions. I don't know if they're trying to sell televisions to pay him. We know, what's next? They're going to sell fish fries, at games to raise money to get him paid. So it's kind of, I don't know what's going to happen. So they're another team where I think this is going to be somewhat of an off year for them, like you said. And then will T. Higgins be effective this year? Because obviously, him not being in the lineup thus far, like will this injury kind of linger throughout the season as well? So it's going to be interesting. There's some troubles there as well. The Colts, Yeah.
Two things with the Bengals.
Yeah.
I never trusted Zach Taylor. I always thought he was just a product of Sean McVay system. He was just riding the wave. And Joe Burrow, listen, they paying you to be a franchise quarterback. So you got to show you a franchise quarterback. After the fact that T. Higgins is not there, Jamar Chase ain't playing well. You got to show that you that guy.
True, but
because as of right now, I don't think I don't know. I personally would say he's not a franchise quarterback because I haven't seen him do it without these weapons, and that's concerning. And I know every team needs weapons and like you need help, but if you really that guy, make it work like how Lamar's made it work with a bunch of no names.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. And I think that's the biggest issue where all this comes into play, where those playmakers that help him make that 2022 that run the Super Bowl in 2021/2022, they're not as effective as it was. And so it's like you said, that's the issue. And then him coming off the injury as well. So it's kind of one of those years where the thought was, okay, they could get everything back together at once. But I still, there's an issue that's going on in Cincinnati, no doubt. And I do, like I said, I do think that the Ravens, it will be that team that will overcome it because even in those losses, you blow that fourth quarter lead against, because they had a lead against the Raiders, right? If my memory is correct. Because I know they had the lead to go into that. So they lost that one. And then essentially the Kansas City game, they lose. If Isaiah likely had a size 12 shoot, they would have won the football game. You know. So it's kind of it's just one of those where that they easily could be 2-0. They could be one of those teams that we talked about on the other end. So yeah, and I don't like to see. I see the Colts potentially like a wild card, but I don't definitely think that's going to come into fruition. But the other teams, I definitely don't think they're going to recover from a down 0-2 deficit at this point. Yeah.
My only concern with the Colts is just what will their record end up being? Can they get enough wins? It's not so much I don't trust them as once they get it all together. It's just will they get it together before the losses stack up too much?
And this is one true inquiry. That's the key. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the key. Getting rid of a guy like a Joe Mixon who is dynamic. That you lose some of that dynamic weaponry that you had. And you see how it comes to fruition it's for Houston. And it was weird because I was like, God, don't let Houston get that. Because I'm like, that's what they needed. It's almost like it's a, so. And it's funny because in a weird way, because y'all got their boy and Devin Singletary.
Mm-hmm.
And now they become a little bit more dynamic, especially in that pass offense. Yeah, and that's a big that was huge, them losing Joe Mixon.
Of course, because Devin Singletary is a little better than a replacement back. Like he'd be good if he was your number 2 guy in the combo, but
correct.
But getting Joe Mixon, who's a true number 1, you still got Pierce, so you could spell him for a little bit.
Yep.
That makes them a lot better. And Bengals, they didn't replace Joe Mixon.
They did.
I guess they thought they had either they had the backs on the team or they just like, we're gonna rely on Joe Burrow. Either way, they were wrong.
Damn.
And look where they at right now. And I don't see where in that regard that gets better.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, that was their biggest because you're right. And yeah, and that's where you look at where you can see some of those deficiencies so far. But yeah, that's on. Yeah, and let's see. I want to hear.
You got it a little late, but
yeah,
but you're right. One true, they need to use Derrick Henry. They haven't been using him.
Yeah, and they're going to use him a lot, especially in this Dallas game because you see how effective Alvin Kamara was against that run defense in Dallas. And I think that's going to be the beginning, the start of kind of what you will see in Derrick Henry in his offense, because they would be foolish not to run the ball on Dallas, like because they're just bad on run defensive standpoint. So I definitely think you'll see him a lot more. So but yeah.
Yep. What up, Alex? What up, HD?
All right, fellas. So we'll get to that, and let's get our thoughts on the game of the week to watch this weekend. So I'm gonna go around the horn, fellas. I'm gonna go with you first, Jordan. What's your game to watch this weekend?
Minnesota versus Houston. The question is how real is Minnesota in terms of can they keep, CJ Stroud from doing what he likes to do, which is, he can run the ball, he can also throw the ball. But you look at Sam Darnold, I mean, this could be an offensive showdown. Minnesota scores 25.5 points per game, while Houston averages 24 points. Just looking at that, I mean, it could be an offensive shootout. That's unless the defenses decide to show up. But if you're looking at a nice shootout, go with that game. Minnesota versus Houston.
Okay. All right, what you got, Scrub?
I would have picked that game, but my man picked that. Shoot. This is put up time or shut up time. We got the Thursday night game tomorrow. You got the Patriots and the Jets. Now, anyone who knows how the history of this matchup's gone, the Patriots always find a way to humiliate the Jets in some manner on this stage. But I don't understand how. I don't understand why. Even when the Jets think, "Yo, we good," they find a way to come up short. Even without the Jets really are who they say they're going to be. This is a game you're going to have to win because you're at home, short week. You say you have the quarterback, you say you got the defense, although defense has been suspect as hell, and that's dear God. Y'all got to beat the Patriots. Defeat, slay the dragon that has haunted you since the dark ages. That's the game to watch, in my opinion.
And I got you, Jose, and I get you. I definitely subscribe to you, man. Definitely appreciate you subbing. Like I said, 2024 has been a very weird year in NFL. If someone would have told you that between the two players of Malik Willis and Will Levis, Coffee and my Mayo, who would have got their first win between the two? If you would have said Malik Willis, I think we all would have said you need to be subject to a drug test immediately.
My only question would have been, what the heck happened to Jordan Love?
Well, even
fair.
before, even like you said, even before he even got traded as well, because okay, how did he end up becoming a starter and what have you? So Malik Willis goes back to Tennessee. His Green Bay Packers will face the Tennessee Titans. This is going to be a really, really interesting game. Obviously, definitely want to see what Malik Willis could do, because obviously we know as far as not getting the best deal in Tennessee as far as getting an opportunity to shine there. So now he comes in in Tennessee, and now you're looking at the Titans 0-2. They had some, like I always said, I looked at the Tennessee Titans team going to the season where they're really going to have some heartbreaking losses. They're going to play hard, but they're going to have some heartbreaking losses, and that has proven true in these last 2 weeks. Obviously, the loss to Chicago and the loss to the Jets last week. So this is going to be a very, very great, interesting game to watch. I definitely think it's going to be something where I want to see the reception of Malik Willis, how people will receive him once he goes on the field, potentially make big plays and what have you. I'm just really anticipating. And it's funny because would you have thought this would have been a revenge game going into the season? I mean, you think about Saquon going back to the Giants. I thought about that as kind of a revenge game, even San Francisco versus Kansas City in week 7, so many different types of stories. But who would have thought that Malik Willis going back to Tennessee, following a win over last week over the Colts? Very interesting, right?
You can thank Brazil in their field for that one.
Well, yeah, that's it, right. We got to think about Brazil, and yeah, it gets hurt on the second to the last play. Isn't that weird? That's just that just shows you how crazy that game was.
Mm-hmm.
Second to last game.
Well, listen, I always thought that Malik Willis was the better option. I thought Tennessee made a mistake. One, drafting the position again, and then two, sticking with it. I'm like, listen, maybe Will Levis will be something, but I from what I've seen of him, I ain't got no faith in him. I got Malik Willis stud in the back.
yeah. So and we got So Cowgirls and the Ravens. That's gonna be definitely a good game. Like we said, I think this will be a bounce back week for the Ravens potentially. Obviously them going to Dallas, so that should definitely be a great game to say the least. And I did get your thing on Twitter as well, so I definitely follow you back on Twitter as well, Jose. Definitely appreciate you for checking us out tonight.
One game that I know a lot of people won't think about, but they should check out too: the Lions and the Cardinals.
Yes. High flying potentially, and it's in the desert too, and it's kind of sneaky. That's a sneaky game. And could Detroit fall to 1-2?
Listen, will Detroit be their own worst enemy? Because this ultimately what it comes down to for them. It was Dan Campbell going to be his own worst enemy, because when he is, the Lions lose. When he's not, they win.
That's true. Hey, that's gonna be a good one. And then to throw some other ones out, I just got one more extra one. Atlanta versus Kansas City. This is could Big Kirko in primetime yet again at the crib. Can he do this? And now the Chiefs, their first road test of the season on a Sunday night. Your girl Taylor Swift gonna be in Atlanta. So, hey, Scrub, don't. Hey, at this point, you at this point we just gotta live with it. At this point, we can't. Be
I don't need to see that ugly woman on my screen, dog.
She gonna be in Atlanta, so hey, it is what it is. So just bear with us, bro. Hey, you rather have a boring summer, rather have a summer with no headlines, nothing going on in the NFL, or to watch Sunday football
I don't need that headline. I'd rather have no headlines than that headline. I'll tell you that.
The way football's back at this point, week 3 in the season, bring it on. I'd be like Chris Collinsworth. Now here's a girl that knows how to entertain a crowd.
She listen, she got her demographic, and God bless her, but she ain't my kind.
Too.
It ain't for me. That's why I don't give a damn, and I'm tired of you.
It ain't my cup of tea, but hey, I'm thirsty. That's all I got.
Nah, I'm not.
I
got my water bottle right here. I'm good.
But yeah, that's gonna be interesting, and it's a road test, and obviously when the Kansas City primetime matchup like that, so obviously the stakes are gonna be a little higher. As far as I know, the three-peat talk is always going to continue and exist. So it's gonna be a fun night, Scrub. So just enjoy it.
You better hope it's a fun night, because I get the feeling that game gonna be lame as hell.
I don't know. I mean, Big Kirko, my boy, Big Kirko, he might have another one in him, another prime time.
I don't trust no dang on 8 o'clock cousins, and and Patrick Mahomes need to learn how to play in the damn pocket.
You had the 8:15 Kurt 48 hours ago. That boy got weapons now. My boy Kurt got weapons now.
He had weapons in Minnesota. What did he end up doing?
Hey, he had some success on prime time. He beat San Francisco. He beat Dallas a couple. I think he beat Dallas once before. Yeah.
But he always beat. That's why we don't even take Dallas seriously, dog. And second of all, San Fran, that was more defense. Listen, he did his job, but we know that this is that defense that held it down.
And you can say the same thing what happened on Monday, but he came up clutch. I mean,
I mean, listen. I would hope so. He been in the league for what, 2,000 years?
Okay, but that's the thing. That's the thing. Can he do it again on a Sunday night?
Yeah. Here's the one thing though. Unlike the Eagles, the Chiefs can actually get pressure. Eagles can't get no damn pressure on him. True. What happens when you give an average quarterback time? He become a good quarterback. You give a good quarterback time, he become a great quarterback. Kansas City, Chris Jones ain't gonna give that boy time. He gonna be running for his life.
Hey, he say 100% in that pocket. As long as he stay in that pocket, he good. Stay in that pocket, Kurt. Don't do nothing crazy.
Yeah, stay in that pocket, get hit by Chris Jones.
We shall see. But yeah, can Arizona be the good defense? Now that's gonna be a question. You look at when I think about Buffalo, they did shut. It's kind of one of the things where the Buffalo situation is kind of not to overanalyze like what happened in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was like an anomaly. It's kind of as far as because Miami, and not Miami, but Buffalo, their defense is there. Like I mean, obviously without Tre'Davious White, like all the guys like Micah and all those not there, and Jordan Poyer, it's that was kind of the question mark going into the season about Buffalo. So they still kind of growing, and so we shall see. This would be another good test for Arizona if they could beat Detroit for sure.
Listen, Detroit. Here's the question: can Detroit not beat themselves? They got more than enough offensive firepower
and defense.
The defense is better than it's not no top. It's not like top 10, but their defense can get the job done.
Yeah, they're like to the question, a good defense, which they fall into that because I know when I talk about as far as Buffalo, there's still a question mark with Buffalo, even though they've had great defensive efforts so far early in the season. But this is where it's going to be kind of interesting. Like this, the next level, the next step for Arizona potentially. When we look at their body of work going forward. So, but it's gonna be a fun weekend. And then, the beautiful thing about all that is it's gonna add more storyline and drama to it. That's why the NFL is the greatest reality television show of all time.
I said it's my favorite soap opera.
It's
That's really what it is.
It is. It's all of that. It is Young and Restless, Bold and Beautiful, All My Children. What other ones are out here? Other soap operas out here?
General Hospital.
General Hospital. Oh, yeah, with all the injuries, yes, General Hospital for sure. Yep. All of that for sure. So we're going to round out tonight's Couch Coach Live with our game ball. Who gets this week's game ball for you, Jordan? And it's pretty much a shout out to anybody in the world of sports this week. What you got?
I'm going with Shedeur Sanders of the University of Colorado. Last week played terribly against Nebraska. He was 23 of 38 for 244 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. His line didn't give him time to throw the football. He was sacked 6 times. Well, last Saturday against Colorado State, he was much better, looked more efficient in the pocket. He was 36 for 49 passing for 310 yards and 4 touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball. So the fact that he was great passing and the fact that he had 310 yards and 4 touchdowns and no interceptions is why he gets my game ball.
All right. You got Scrub. Who's your game ball?
Adrian Wilson. And he was watching That girl's been holding it down. Ace was going through a rough stretch. She picked up her play, carrying them. Now they're starting to come together, but she's the engine that makes it all go.
Yeah. I give my game ball to none other than my guy, Adrian Wojnarowski, a.k.a. Woj. Announced that he's retired from ESPN. He will be the new general manager of St. Bonaventure. So Woj, welcome to the Atlantic 10. So definitely I'm looking forward to maybe potentially seeing what you do at St. Bonaventure. So that should be a definitely fun industry for him to be in. Obviously, 7 years at ESPN. Obviously, was at Yahoo Sports as well. So no more Woj bombs in the middle of the night. So no more 1 a.m. Woj bombs that's telling you that Kevin Durant got traded to the Phoenix Suns, or so it's gonna be definitely it's gonna suck. But I know obviously Sham's gonna do his thing, and it probably gonna be pass the baton. And he's gonna be that next. Well, he's been doing his thing anyway, so it's not that really the next. He's just gonna pick up his pace and do his thing. But yeah, those Woj bombs be epic, especially during trade deadlines. And he's always like my verified source when it comes to NBA. Him and Shams. So definitely huge shout out to Woj, man. And like I said, welcome to the Atlantic 10. Hopefully we can cross paths, and hey, welcome to the A10. It only gets better. It only gets better from now. Now you're in the best conference in the nation. So, final thoughts before we head on out, and then also plug your social media and any upcoming projects. What you got going on? I'm gonna go with you first, Scrub. What you got?
Final thoughts. This was fun. I enjoyed it. Definitely would like to do this again. As far as me, you can follow me on my channel, SkrubZero. I'll be going live tomorrow with my guy Jose when the Thursday night game goes on. I would have done it last week, but I got sick. Luckily, I'm feeling better now, so definitely be on top of that. Because it's basically what we do, me and Jose, every Thursday night during the season. Go live for the Thursday night game, talk our stuff, have fun, analyze the game, and cuss at the TV about how these players don't do the basic stuff. Yeah. So
all right. Yeah. All right, Jordan, what you got?
Well, it's gonna be a fun, week of NFL football. You never know what's gonna happen in these games. As for me, you can follow me on Twitter X at SportsScoop1. I also have my own show that I am hopefully gonna get back to. It's called Under Review, and it's my, take on Colorado sports.
All right. Yeah, and pretty much social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram on the Couch Coach Live. Also the YouTube page, Couch Coach Live. Check out the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, with there as well. And then also just check out the website, couchcoachlive.com. Definitely appreciate you coming in, Scrub, and also Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, and then in replacement. So it's just shout out to my guy Maui. He'll be back next week. And yeah, man. And once again, great show, fellas. Definitely guys for coming in, and we'll catch you guys next week. It's been this week's Couch Coach Live, man, and we're out.